Hey everybody, tonight I am going to watch through this thing and point out everything I can that I know about what we see on the screen without getting too technical. So, first thing we see here is the B-36H model. You got your buzz number 5734. That's the last 4 digits of the serial number. That was used so if the B-36s flew too low for doing aerobatics and whatnot, people could call into the Air Force and tell on them. These tires are 56 inches in diameter. This is the radar housing or radar dome for the K system, the bombing system. That houses the APS-23 antenna. That little dome right there you can barely see is the optical head for the Farrand Y3 horizontal periscopic bomb sight. Aircraft that have that bomb sight and or the K system have the window formerly used for the M9 Norden bomb sight covered over. This little guy right here, that is the optical head for the hemispheric gun sighting station, which controlled the nose guns. These are 20mm barrels for the M24 autocannon. This blister is for the upper sighting station, which controls the 20mm turret that is recessed behind this door, or turret bay door. These doors slide down on the fuselage with little tracks. That is the escape hatch for the aircraft commander. The aircraft commander sits on this side of the aircraft. The pilot sits on the other side. This is the astrodome for the navigator to take celestial observations and navigate at night. The shiny skin on this aircraft is aluminum. The dull skin is magnesium. These are the landing lights. These fold out when the plane is landing so they can see. Nothing much going on here other than the T-18 T-boxes. There's 2 of them present, meaning that there's 2 universal racks in the bomb bay. So theoretically they have 2 atomic weapons on board. These are the throttles, levers for the jet controller, which resides right here. These cords are for the work lamps that you can shine anywhere. Those work lamps had regular white light, red light, and ultraviolet light for illuminating the gauges, that's the combing for the main instrument panel. These are the clamps for the astrodome. These are J47s made by General Electric jet engines. These pods were actually taken from the B-47 made by Boeing. It's got this big bulge here because that's where the landing gear was housed on the B-47. The turret bay doors for the lower aft turrets. The bay doors slide up on the fuselage in these tracks. This is the sighting blisters for the aft compartment. That blister controls that turret. That blister controls that turret. There's the serial number of the aircraft. The first digit is the second digit of the year, 1 indicating 51. So the serial number is 515734. I don't know what antenna that is, but that's a very important antenna. This is either this antenna that stretches from the front radio compartment to the tail, or the vertical stabilizer, is either for the liaison radio or for the LRAN, which stands for long range navigation. A little bit better view here. We can see the ventilation fan. We've got a D2 oxygen demand panel. This is the navigator. In this picture you can see the navigator table, the navigator's light, the map case for his maps. This is the hemispheric sighting station from the inside. This is the bombing control box for the K-set or the K-system bombing system. This is ECM, electronic countermeasures equipment. All of this right here that the radio operator used. This is the radio operator station. This is the ACT, or I'm sorry, the AR-13 receiver, the BC-348 transmitter. This is the blister for the sighting station, which is in the down position, so you could safely leave the aircraft. That right there is a de-icing vent that blows hot air into it. There's a hot air vent right there. There's a cup dispenser right there, or two of them I should say. This is a walk-around bottle for oxygen when you're not hooked up to the oxygen system in the airplane. These stairs go up to the flight deck. This is the APG-32 tail gun radar indicator. This is the Thyrotron controller for the tail gun. The Thyrotron controller converted the B-36, four of the piston engines had alternators that generated three-phase alternating current. I believe it's 400 volts. The Thyrotron controller took the three-phase and converted it to 28-volt DC for controlling the turrets. Every turret on the aircraft had this equipment. They had the Thyrotron controller. Up here, this is the computer, the firing control computer. You have a junction box and two other pieces of equipment that are not relevant to the other turrets. You can't see them, so I won't describe it. There's another walk-around bottle. This is the Radar Central, which is the main hub for all the RTC remote-controlled turret equipment. All went into here. It's kind of like a motherboard for a computer, and these would be your cards. That is the seat for the gunner, the lower aft gunner. This panel right here has your escape axe, your fire axe. It has medical equipment, first aid. These are your crew comfort items, the silver stainless steel things. You have an oven, or they're called a galley, which you have an oven. You have food storage and food lockers for cold and hot food. Oh, the engineer's throttles were locked to the pilot's throttles, so when the pilot moved these throttles would move. These are all fuel gauges down here. That is the controller for the turbo supercharger. Each of the piston engine had a pair of superchargers that they could select based on their altitude and performance needs. This is for the for the piston engines. These are press to test lights, meaning whenever there's a problem, they illuminate, but if you're curious if they're working or not, you can simply push in on them and they will illuminate to indicate that they're working. This is the engineer's checklist. Tells him what to do in general, pre-flight, during flight, and post-flight. These are circuit breakers, toggle switches. This is the engineer's electrical control panel, so he can control the aforementioned alternators and the electrical power distribution throughout the aircraft. He mentions the propeller reverse safety check. They started doing that on all B-36 missions, and they actually have lights on the very prominent lights dead center on the main instrument panel, because an airplane at Carswell Air Force Base, or a B-36, took off with the propellers in reverse and crashed into Lake Worth. I think we're going to skip through here. Oh, we can go back. Might be something relevant. This guy would not be sitting in this seat during takeoff. He actually had a seat back in here. This is the This is the antenna for the APS-54 warning system. If the nose was being painted by enemy radar, it would simply flash a light so they would know. That is the Y3 optical head that I mentioned earlier. These are all pilot static tubes, I believe. The way that you get into the B-36, there's a ladder that folds down right there. You can climb up into it and access this lower compartment. Let's see here. This is your standby compass, so if your radio compass or your auto compass failed to work, you could use that. Let's skip to where they go throughout the aircraft. In the radio compartment back here, we've got your crew comfort items. You've got your coffee heaters, your hot beverage and your cold beverage coolering heater, food storage. The yoke style sighting station has been folded up now that they're in flight. I made a video about that. That controls the upper turret. These are amplifiers for the turbo superchargers. The whole wall is full of them. This is a crank to pump the emergency hydraulic pressure to raise and lower the landing gear. This is the reservoir and this is your indicator. These are parachute storage racks. These are your upper gunners that are both equipped with the yoke style sighting stations. On the bottom gunners, you have the pedestal style sighting stations. That is called the gunner's catwalk. This is the blister for the aft compartment lower gunners sighting stations. This is a pedestal sighting station, which you can't really see. Of course, you've got the bunks for the reserve crew. They go through the tunnel and they would sleep and exchange positions. Now we're down in the radar observers compartment. This is the radar observer, or Bombadier. They didn't call him a Bombadier. This is the control panels for the K bombing system, more K bombing systems. The Y3 periscopic bomb sight would be sitting right there, but it's not present because they're very expensive. This is the radar indicator and camera for the K system. There's a walk around oxygen bottle. Behind him is the LORAN indicator, long range navigation. It worked off of various towers that were all over the Allied countries, and each tower had a unique signal. So by looking at that and varying the signal, the navigator could determine where he was and triangulate himself. Nothing really much else. Nope. I hope you've enjoyed this video and learned a few things. Be sure to check out my YouTube page if you haven't. I'm actually building a full-scale, 1-to-1 scale B-36 flight deck. If a billionaire steps up to the plate and hands me some money, I'll build the entire airplane. But until then, we'll keep it logical. We'll see you next time.